So a topic that doesn't get discussed too frequently in the mainstream media, and I believe actually deserves a lot more attention. It's a very critical subject having to do with the farmers in this country and the struggles that they are going through right now. So I want to share an article I saw from yesterday that was out of Fortune relative to the rural economic conditions right now in this country as it relates to a couple of different metrics. Before I jump into the article, please subscribe to the channel, guys, if you like what I'm doing here, if you like the content. It helps to grow the community. I appreciate it very much. So again, the article is entitled "Rural America is Suffering an Economic Crisis as Crop Prices Plunge. U.S. soybean farmers cannot survive a prolonged trade dispute." That's the title of the story I'm going to share with you right now out of Fortune, again from yesterday. If you guys are farmers, I would love to get your thoughts, your input, comments to what I'm going to share right now, because I think it's something that people need to be aware of. It's not necessarily the sexiest topic. It's not necessarily the most headline grabbing topic, but it is, a massive swath of, middle America in this country engage in farming operations and basically produce the food that enables all of us to eat and survive every day. So the article says agricultural trade groups have sounded the alarm recently on the state of farmers who are grappling with continued slump in prices for their crops and worsening credit conditions. They've asked lawmakers to help increase access to export markets, including China, which is still locked, it says, in a trade war with the United States. U.S. producers of corn and soybeans have sent a dire warning as prices for their crops have crashed in recent years while we have this trade war ongoing and unfolding. It says on Thursday, the National Corn Growers Association raised alarms about the economic crisis hitting rural America as commodity prices drop at a time when input costs remain near record highs. Corn prices, and when I saw this, it was somewhat shocking to me. Corn prices have plunged more than 50% from their 2022 peak, while production costs are down just 3% in that same span of time, translating to a loss of 85 cents per bushel. The NCGA said, adding that the outlook for next year is worse, with even lower prices and higher costs projected. It says the NCGA called on Congress and the Trump administration to boost demand, including via higher blends of ethanol and increased foreign market access. A week before, it says the American Soybean Association sent a letter to Trump warning that U.S. soybean farmers are standing at a trade and financial precipice. The group asked that Trump prioritize soybeans in trade talks with China, seeking major purchase commitments as well as the removal of Beijing's duties on the U.S. It says historically the U.S. was the provider of choice for Chinese consumers. However, due to ongoing tariff retaliation, it said the group's letter, long-standing customers in China have and will continue, it says, to turn to our competitors in South America to meet their demand. A demand Brazil can now meet due to significantly increased production since the previous trade war with China. It says, with harvest season fast approaching, the association added that China hasn't purchased any U.S. soybeans for the months ahead. The longer negotiations with China drag on without a trade deal, the deeper the farmers go into the fall, the more pain they will feel, it's said. So like the corn growers, the soybean growers also cited sharply lower prices and higher costs. Listen to this statistic. Since peaking in 2022, soybean prices have fallen about 40%. And it says soybean farmers are under extreme financial stress. The group said prices continue to drop, and at the same time, our farmers are paying significantly more for inputs and farm equipment. U.S. soybean farmers, it says, cannot survive a prolonged trade dispute with our largest customer. It says the bleak picture of the agricultural economy was echoed by the Federal Reserve's latest survey of farm financial conditions. It found that weaker income has reduced liquidity for farmers, boosting demand for financing. At the same time, and here's the double whammy, at the same time, credit conditions deteriorated with roughly 30% of respondents in the Chicago Fed and Kansas City Fed districts reporting lower repayment rates versus a year ago, while the Minneapolis Fed region share was around 40% and St. Louis Fed's share was around 50%. So that's percentage of lower repayment rates, right? So we talk about defaulting consumers in this country, defaulting, people that are not making their financial obligations from a consumer perspective. This is also happening, folks, in the farming community. Okay, so again, love to get your thoughts and your comments. As to be sure, U.S. farmers are set to receive substantial help. After Trump launched his latest trade war earlier this year, the administration and lawmakers did begin talking about a bailout for farmers in April, similar to how they received a bailout during the first term. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was signed in July, it included about $66 billion in agriculture-focused spending. The vast majority, $59 billion, is earmarked for the farm safety net enhancements, according to the American Farm Bureau Federation. So again, I'm not sure that is what they're calling for in terms of influx of capital. It says Indonesia and Bangladesh have agreed to boost buying under their agreements, and sources told Reuters this past week that Vietnam, the Philippines, and Thailand may increase feed grain purchases as well. So there have been some productive trade discussions, it says, which present an opportunity for the U.S. to strengthen its access to markets in the region. But of course, that remains to be seen. What I just shared with you is some really scary statistics coming out of corn farmers and soybean farmers. If you guys are in other farming industries besides that in the United States, what are you seeing? What's going on? Please leave your thoughts, your comments. Don't want to go too long today. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoy the content, please hit the like button. Also, smash that subscribe button if you guys aren't subscribed, so we'll keep growing. Thoughts and comments are welcome, and I will talk to all of you soon. All right, bye.